What's up, everybody? Thank you for hanging out. This is Willie Barcena's drop-in. All right, I'm excited today because the gentleman that I have, the guest, we're there's this business. There's there's people that know each other. There's acquaintances. There's people like they fake know each other because it's Hollywood, and Hollywood's so much bullshit. But this is the person that's here. I'm very excited. A lot of people are called legends, and that it gets thrown around a little too easy. But the gentleman here truly is a pioneer and a legend, man. And I'm excited to have him here, and we're gonna know more about him. Hopefully, we'll know things that you haven't heard before. No further ado, my boy Paul Rodriguez, man.
Un placer estar aquí contigo.
Hey, brother, man. There's so many stories to you, man, that we can do chronological and how you got started and when when the first time you were funny. But there's a story that I heard years ago when I first got started in comedy, man, and I've never heard you address this, and I don't think I've ever heard but I want to know if it's true because it comes from people that are really close to you. Did you really? Because I did the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, right? When you're a young comic, that's the big deal.
It's a landmark,
right? And you did it with Johnny Carson.
It's true.
Okay, how many times did you do it with Johnny?
12 times with Johnny, once with Jay, and once with what's the name of this lady just passed away?
Rivers, Joan Rivers.
No, I didn't never do it with Joan Rivers. One of the Golden Girls. ¿Cómo se llama esta? Betty White.
Betty White?
Betty White,
okay.
yeah.
She hosted or?
She hosted it one time. I was doing an episode with her, and just by chance she asked me to be in it, and I said, well, maybe you have to ask De Cordoba, or you have to ask them because I think I'm banned from there. Uh-huh. She goes, no, we just won't tell them. Just show up.
Okay, that's what I was going to address. I was going to ask you, what happened, man? Is it like was there animosity between you and Johnny Carson?
It's a very sad story, really. It's one of those forks in the road that you wish you would have made a better decision, but in hindsight, I don't regret it. Johnny Carson was very good to me, man. He was very good to me until that particular day. I guess he wasn't. I don't know what happened, but he just threw an insult that I didn't like, and.
What during when the cameras were rolling?
Yeah, it was at the break. There was a lady there named Samantha. She had a show called Lady Blue on ABC, I think.
Okay.
Sam's. What is her name? Sam's. Anyways, I had already done my set. I'm sitting over here, and they were talking, and Johnny said, "So is there a man in your life?" And I'm quiet, right? She said, no. But I'm looking, just to cabulear conmigo.
Right.
So I just smiled and I said, let's talk or something, some smart-ass thing. And Johnny took offense to that, and he...
Why did he take offense? Can you tell me?
I don't know. I don't know. There were rules that... I wasn't like trying to interject in the conversation or nothing. But during the commercial break... He basically told me to just sit there and shut up, and I went
like that in those words.
Like that in those words,
Hey, I want you to just sit there and shut up.
Yeah, and I don't know. I opened my mouth and I said, well, I said, what? He goes, you heard? I said, hey, fuck you. I don't gotta be here.
You told him like that? You told him fuck you?
Yeah, I don't think many people have told Johnny Carson to fuck you, and I wish I hadn't, but it didn't go good after that, He basically was very insulted. I don't know if it was because of her or just how I felt about it, but it got that bad, and I regret using that language. I could have just sat there, but I don't know. I feel like I got deballed in a second, and at that point of mine, it really didn't matter, Willie. It really didn't matter. I have to wake up and shave every morning on the mirror, and there are things in our lives that you either. But it wasn't something that I instigated. That's what always hurt. I remember Jim McCauley telling me how bad it was, and at the time the manager I had was talking to me like my world was over, and I never really looked at it that way. It wasn't like I'll tell you another story that is related with this. He had such power that he had me banned from NBC studios, and that was really fucked up because there were a lot of places where you go audition for stuff, right?
Right.
So I remember I had friendship with Bob Hope, and I went to see Bob, and I told him the situation, and he says, "Yeah, Johnny has a tendency to be all about himself," something like that in his voice. And he said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And that'll show you what kind of pull Bob Hope had, because after that, the guards, I was allowed to go into NBC, you know.
Okay.
And I remember one time I had parked my car. I went to audition for something, and Johnny has said parking things like that, and he came on. He looked at me like I was there just to, just to instigate him. I wasn't. I even felt like going, maybe you should go and apologize, but I thought about it going, you just set yourself up for him to tell you to go fuck yourself again.
Right.
And this time nobody's around. I'm going to have to beat this old guy. Because the vato in you comes out.
Yeah.
And I just waved, and he looked at me like I was a piece of shit, and that's the last time I saw him. And it was sad because I remember flying back with Jay one time. He was about to get the Tonight Show, and he knew something about that something had gone down. He goes, "Don't worry, I'll get you on." And he kept his word. He did get me on once. And I appreciate that of him, but that's my story, man. How many times I've gotten in my head, I go, what if I would have just said, okay, Mr. Carson, I'm sorry, but it's just not in me, I think to thy own self be true, and whether for good or for bad, that was a decision that it had repercussions. I mean, the man had a lot of power, but soon after that, the Lord saw fit to call him home. And
I heard. Okay,
I promised him.
See, this is one things that I've heard. I don't know. I've heard that you said when he dies. Yeah.
I promised him that I would pee on his grave.
Did you?
And well, he was let go in the ocean, so as closest I could do is I went to Malibu the next day, and behind a rock, I had a couple of beers, and I pulled Mr. Happy out, and I said, "This bud's for you, Johnny." And I don't know if there's an afterlife, but I kind of wish there were, because I'd like to see his face. I like to keep my word,
Yeah.
Those are one of the sweet things I did. Yeah, that's one of the many mistakes I did. I never really had a temper, but there are a couple of things that's still in my life, I won't allow, and sometimes, your body can't cash those checks, but yeah.
But listen, you were, man, because I thought, as I was coming up, I felt racism and that stuff,
Still is. It's there.
And I thought, wow, bro, you're like your generation, man. I mean, you were the only, other than Freddie Prinze passed away,
Yeah.
and then you came along with you were basically the only one, bro.
The system, the powers that be, which is a very small business, they really don't like outspoken vatos. People like yourself.
They want us to know our place,
Yeah.
right? You ever get the feeling that when you're in meetings, you feel like they're talking at you, not with you, and we know how they're talking to us, but we got, a lot of times you just got to keep quiet, but you want to go.
Yeah.
A
lot of times you do keep quiet because it does you no good, But Hollywood, the people that run Hollywood run it like this. They have an allotment for how many Latinos are on the air, I was their George for a while, and they always have somebody else. They have another Latino who's on with Kimmel, who's a chaparro,
he's like a throwback, bro. He's like from the 50s, the way he uses them.
Yeah, and I think, I don't criticize him at all. I mean, he's got a job and he does the whole thing. And then
Is it wrong that I do?
Huh?
Is it wrong that I criticize that? Because I think I think we come a long way from being the punchline to every Latino joke.
I don't think I'll live to see that day, but I know that day's coming. When I was a kid, I remember the marches of Chicanos were more active. The march of the Brown Berets, the Corky Gonzalez, the Tijerinas. People who spoke out.
Yeah.
The few of us that have had an opportunity to make a good buck have a tendency to weigh our disenchantment with the system. If you stay quiet, you got a couple of bucks in a pool, you can forget about the rest. You see what's going on. There's very few activists, is what I'm saying. But yeah, we're not dumb. We're not stupid. Look, we're the brown elephant in the room. If you figure, let's take Los Angeles forever. For instance, all the movies that are made Los Angeles based, and they have a guy from India who's a sidekick, or they have somebody else. This is not by accident, man. This is on purpose. Of course, they'll tell you that the reason they're favoring the Indians is not because of the vast expense that Bollywood is, or how they favor the Chinese actors because of the marketplace in China. But all of this said and done, there's a lot of racism. See, America has the wrong opinion of us. They see us more as a beast of burden, and not an intellectual beast. We're good enough to clean their homes, nanny their babies. All these executives, when they go home, it's Dolores doing the, it's all Latinos. They don't have any black servants. That's a fact. I've been to many other homes for political reasons and for the fact that Latino servants do their job and do it great.
Right.
But when that mentality, when they see that every day, it's hard for them to see you as an intellectual equal, as a poet, as someone who is well read, well versed, someone who can have an intelligent conversation about many topics. No, it's a lot easier for them to stigmatize you in the way they see you. The guy who washes their car at the car wash, the guy who tows all the trash. The hardworking. Look, there's an element of our raza that's hardworking, and let me just say that all work. I take my hat off. I respect them. My parents did that, but they work hard so that the next generation won't.
Right.
Or at least this is the goal for your kids, for mine, that maybe we had to do that, maybe our parents had to do that so that we don't, and it's an escalation. But they don't see Mexican Americans as Chicanos as worthy co-stars or stars in their own right. If you notice, they import and this is not to down, I know most of these stars, they import the Pedro Banderas, the Antonio Banderas to play Pancho Villa on HBO. Now that is such an insult because Antonio's an attractive guy, but Pancho Villa was not 4'2". He didn't speak with a lisp. He was an imposing big man, He was from Parral, from Chihuahua, un cabrón bien hecho, no? My father's from Chihuahua. My grandpa died in Battle of Celaya. So when you see...
That's something we have in common, because I have uncles from Chihuahua, and they're
some cabrones,
big motherfuckers.
They're not,
brother.
if you look at history, Pancho Villa to this day is the only army that ever attacked America proper in Columbus, New Mexico, and got away with it. He got away with it. Pershing and also Patton, who was a lieutenant at the time, went into Mexico. They never found him. They said that the hills would swallow him. He was an imposing general, Him and Zapata. Zapata was more of an introvert. Villa was an outspoken guy who got drunk, who had 30 kids, He was un desmadroso. That was his thing, But he had respect for the republic, He never took the presidential seat. When they offered it to him, he said, Mexico deserves better than an analfabeto like myself. And Zapata sat there, and Zapata wasn't comfortable there either. But if you notice, Hollywood seems to love our culture, Zapata was played by this Marlon Brando, who, by the way, did a great job. I love that movie, They're hungry, the kids. He's a great actor. I got no problems with. You don't have to be Mexican to play that part. But it's not in one instance. It's many, many miscastings. Mexicans and Mexican Americans have a huge, rich culture from where to draw on. We are from. We have Diego Rivera, for example. Great artist. We have Rufino Paez. We have a lot of poets, a lot of actors who are Mexican, not Spaniards, Mexicans. Right. Their stories are taken, but it's never their sons who get to play that. Not only that, but we don't even have the opportunity to even audition for that. No. When Comedy Central, when this guy left the talk show in Comedy Central, they didn't even give an opportunity. And I tried an opportunity to even audition for the part of a host, because you're not in their in their mind. They had to go to South Africa to get this guy, Trevor Noah, who, look, with all said, I'll say it in front of him, whatever. This is not back talking. The man, how hard is it not to be funny? Got 30 writers, and you can't even be funny with 30 writers. There's a problem that the ratings kept going down. They finally got a hold of him. I auditioned for that part, and I felt like I didn't get a fair chance, because not only had I done a talk show in Spanish, but I was ready to do a show. With me on there, it would have worked. My stuff would have been funny. Or a George. It doesn't have to be me. Or it doesn't have to. But you and other qualified Latinos should have an opportunity to at least audition,
Yeah, well, listen, just a couple of years ago, John Leguizamo, or a year ago, tried out for one of those things, and then got the highest ratings. And
Leguizamo was a very talented guy.
And they didn't pick him. You know?
Exactly.
So yeah. So,
the mentality is that the powers that be, and let's face it, they're Eastern European hermanos de la tribu, no? And they don't see us as qualified
as equals,
artistic, you know.
equals.
And when you get to be my age, it really doesn't. It doesn't matter. You drop it where it is, you know. Yeah. But I think the day is coming where our numbers will be so vast. We can't be ignored, you know.
Right.
But and that day is right around the corner. I believe so because every movie, for example, that they shoot with Los Angeles or New York base. Where are the Puerto Ricans in Batman? Come on, that's Gotham. Everybody knows it. You can't go anywhere without the Dominicans, who are even bigger than Puerto Ricans. Where are they at? You know, where are the Mexicans here? You know, it seems that our culture continues to be usurped, bastardized. And I say this all the time. You know, you see all these lowriders with the '64 Chevy. I'm from Compton. The '64 Chevy. That's totally Chicano based.
Yeah.
And they've taken it upon themselves. You know, when I was growing up, the Negros, they like a deuce and a quarter, which was a Electra 225 or a Cadillac.
I remember the '70s. They used to wear the boots with the high heels
and the big jewels.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was us with the Pendletons.
It was the Pendletons, yeah.
You see the baggy look with the calzones showing that. Sadly enough, that you know.
It's funny because we do share each other's cultures, bro. Because the Latinos love hip hop.
Exactly. But it's not like we've not contributed to it, you know.
Right.
We have had a large part, and it's never mentioned that, you know. Right. Every video you see with Dre and all of them, all the lowriders, the Chicano driver and all that.
And the wear and the dress.
And the wear and the dress. And it is so hot that there are cultures in Japan that are emulating, trying to look like Mexicans. You look it up in the YouTube. There are vatos trying to look like vatos in Thailand, you know, because the look is so unique and impressive. You know, we took our father's clothing, which is what a Pendleton is, and the khakis, these are working clothing, and we turned it into something stylish, you know, with the boots and the way we are, you know.
Well, wasn't that the same thing with the zoot suits? That you would get a suit that was too big for you?
Exactly.
And it would be your grandfather's suit or whatever.
And that was a firme era, you know. If you look at it, the Sleepy Lagoon case is a perfect example, you know. There should be a movie that crosses across, that goes across. I'll give you another example. The movie of Cesar Chavez was a total disappointment. It bombed because it wasn't realistic, you know. I mean, I knew Cesar Chavez more than just casually. I mean, I knew the guy. He came on my show several times. I knew him since I was 12 years old in the field. It's not something I'm faking, you know. And I looked up to him, you know. And the way they portrayed him in that movie, it was not real. The man was human, you know. He was a chase skirt.
He made mistakes. He was human.
He was
flawed.
He was flawed. And when you look at that movie, I don't know if it was a family or somebody put the brakes on the writer. They make him look like Gandhi, you know. And Gandhi had problems, you know. Gandhi liked to sleep with young girls, you know. It didn't look good in the movie, but that's historically a truth. The Cesar Chavez that I knew was a man that had many flaws, but he had many great other attributes. He was a man of his word. He was interested in a small segment of what Chicanos are. He was interested in the rural Chicano, the agricultural Chicano, you know, which is not bad, but it's good. We are still looking for Moses, you know. We're looking for that leader that's probably, I believe, he's in college right now. Someone who's an intellectual, someone who will have the power and the miracle to unite us, you know, to follow, because Raza, we're very independent, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's a good trait or bad trait, but that reflects in our communities, you know, where we're so clannish that a family could have a gang from this street, and you could be related to many over here, but they'll be your deadly enemies from that street. You know, we're so subdivided. What we really need is a leader.
I think that there's that mayor. Where's that mayor from San Antonio? No, from San Antonio. And he's got a brother. There's two brothers. Forget their name, man.
Los Castro. Los hermanos Castro.
Yeah. I think they're pretty eloquent, man, when they speak.
They are. The problem is, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right, the problem is the gay, you know? The gay situation there is hard to, it's going to be hard to have machismo vatos to follow a gay guy. Not that it's not impossible, but you see what I mean? Yeah. These are the flaws. I believe that the leader, the person that is educated and wise, is probably out of high school and in college right now. Because I say that because I look at the numbers that are so vast, you know.
Wait a minute, both brothers are gay?
I don't know about both, but
I mean, and I don't care, by the way, for the listeners. I don't care if you're gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, whatever.
But I think it's safe to say that as a whole.
Yeah.
Anonymously as a whole.
And I agree. I get to get the numbers, to get the people to follow you.
As a whole, we are raised to a certain extent that it is difficult to be a gay Mexican American. I assure you that there's a lot of them that have to hide their sexuality simply because of the stigma, the insult, and yet we all have them in our families, right?
Yeah.
But even in our families, we ostracize them. I'm just talking it as I view it, you know. But
you know, listen to what you're talking about this change happening. I never seen it before. I've seen it in my work largely because of my son, Fabian, who introduced me to the social media world, and it's becoming and we talked about this a little bit, where the powers, the studios or the managers or the agents, it's kind of been taken away from them, because before I used to have to kiss my manager's ass, and then we kiss a club's ass, and you're fucking puckering up all the way till the end of the show. And now
I always admire that about you. I always looked at. I said, you know, Willie has. If you think I'm someone that's not going to follow the leader, Willie takes that to an extreme, which is a compliment and a curse.
But bro, I did fuck up a lot. But here it is, bro. What I like is something that we talked about is that the people, man. And here's the message to the fans. I don't care, black, white, or brown, but the people have the power now to make somebody. You know,
vote.
It doesn't. Yeah, and
vote with their dollars, man.
With social media numbers. I mean, you think Joe Rogan, a studio wouldn't have done. I think I paid $100 million to do his podcast. I don't think a studio would have done it if he didn't have those astronomical numbers out there, man.
Right now he's the gatekeeper. He's a kingmaker, you know. And I get along with Joe.
But a lot of people, bro. A lot of people that before wouldn't have had that leverage.
Well, you know, it's like the old saying, "Will it play in Peoria?" But that was the saying when it came to the way you act, your material, and all that. But what people don't understand is there's like 100 Peorias in one El Paso. You know, we don't really know our strength, and I think subconsciously they're trying to dilute it right now by allowing a lot of Venezuelans, particularly, to come in. Venezuelan people are going through a struggle over there, but it's not accidental. It's not accidental, you know. They let all these people in because, let's face it, when these people come in, they are fulfilling a need in the East Coast. I remember first time I went to New York, Mexicans were negligible. There was maybe one little restaurant, and now we're a force to be reckoned with.
No, I was just there. I just did a show in New York about 2 weeks ago, and I was surprised at the number of Mexicans that came out to the show. You know, and then they're like second generation, man.
Second generation,
and then the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans that showed up, they had a lot of love, and I guess because they mixed in with the Mexican Americans over there, so there's kind of a, you know, there's a lot of exchanging cultures.
They're far more accepting than we are to them here, you know. Yeah. Freddie Prinze, my hero, took a lot of heat from Mexican Americans who wouldn't accept him, you know, and that's a shame because we're very myopic in that respect, you know. I think when I say a leader, I think the day that someone comes out there and really understand that those of us who are of Hispanic heritage, whether it be Guatemaltecos, Salvadoreños, the whole potpourri, if they don't know that this group is a huge part of America, man. Right. Now, especially, you know, because especially speaking of first-generation Mexican Americans, their goal is to come in quietly, settle roots, have kids. They call them anchor babies, whatever you want to call them. Settle roots, but the truth is...
Have anchor babies, brother.
The truth is... Exactly, I'm done with that. The truth is that whether they agree with it or not, it's a fact that states like Colorado we're beginning to be the majority there. New Mexico, as far as Nebraska, man. When I started, there was no need to go to Nebraska. I just came back from Omaha. There's a huge Mexican-American population there.
And Boise también.
That works in the yards, doing the hardest, difficult jobs that American-born, regardless of what race, won't do, And as long as America needs the muscle, we are the poster boy for the muscle, which is a good thing and it's a bad thing because people who are writing movies and stuff like that don't see us. Don't see that other segment. They don't see the Willie Barcenas, the myself, if you will, who are qualified to do it all, man. We've lived long enough. So what if they have a part in a movie, it's gonna be okay. Here's a part you come in. You're the ballet guy.
Yeah.
And I've done my share of all of that, and I used to get a lot of heat from people. Oh, you're always playing this part. But they don't know is that's you. If that's the only part you're being offered, you have a choice. Either you do it.
There were no
not
options.
Be seen, or not do it. But. Every dog has his day, and the perro that's coming next, I guarantee you, is a Chihuahua.
No, man. Well, brother, your career, man. I mean, what you've gone through. I never knew you did a movie with Clint Eastwood, brother.
I've worked with just about everyone, man. I did a movie with Russell Crowe.
First of all, how was Clint Eastwood, bro? Was he telling you?
He's a todo that, man.
He's all
At the time,
because I hate when, bro. There's guys that there's actors that I look up to. I was always a big fan, man. The Rocky movies.
The disappointment.
No. But Sylvester Stallone, I met him, and he was cool, bro.
He was cool,
and I was like, all right, man.
I'm
glad he's not a dick,
No, but
so I'm glad to hear that Clint was.
Clint was everything you imagine, man. At the time, he was with a Latina, married to a Latina newscaster there, and that marriage has since broken up. But it's because of her I got the job. Apparently, she had seen Tortilla Soup, and that was one of her favorite movies, and she pillow talked Clint Eastwood to see me for this part. There was no guarantee. I went to read with him, just to meet the guy would have been a.
Was it up there? Was up there by Monterey, right?
Right. Yeah, he has a. He allowed me to stay in his home, man, which is not something that he lives in.
Bro, people tell that story. I stayed with Clint Eastwood, man.
In his house.
At his house, bro. Because I hear so many stories about you, man. I was go, man.
I've had a storied life, man. I had dinner with Nelson Mandela, bro.
Wow. How was that? How was it?
It was phenomenal. The man was very kind to me. We were in line to receive him. The whole crew got invited, right? Michael Mann and everybody there got invited and went to dinner. Jamie Foxx. It was a terrific cast. The Ali story, and as he's passing by the salute, he says Juan, and I go, I'm Paul Rodriguez. He goes, yes. But he had seen a little movie that I did, A Million to One, that apparently impacted him because he told me that in the struggle against the Botha government of South Africa, the Cubans were the only ones that helped him. They helped him and they gave him weapons and he made it a thing with him to learn Spanish. So when he was at Robben Island towards the last 2 years, when everybody knew he would be the next leader, they gave him certain privilege, and he wanted to see nothing but Spanish films, Mexican films, and mine was one of them. And it was amazing for a guy like that to remind me. He says that his son who had died in the war. There's a scene in A Million to One where I'm sitting there with this child, and he goes, "Tell me about Mama. How was she?" And I go, "She was something else. When she laughed, her whole body shook like Jello, and she would suck on her fingers and all that." And that particular part, he repeated to me. He goes that he remembers his son asking him about his mom because she wasn't in the picture. I don't know if she passed away, but she wasn't. And he would tell her, he goes, "Your mother was a big woman. She would laugh and she would shake like Jello." And when he heard that line, when he heard that line, he stopped and he there's a picture that the photographer took when he's talking to me, and I'm saying to myself, here's a man. It just shows you the power of cinema. Here's a man's talking to me. I mean, I said, wow, what far-reaching thing it was. But I got to meet him, and we sat around the table, and everybody asked him questions. Jamie asked him how did he see himself through all those things. One of the things that he said that I'll never forget, he said he was never in prison. He was in Robben Island for 27 years, but he said in his mind he was never in prison because every night he said he would let his mind walk, and he would walk through the streets of Paris. He would live, and it stopped him from being, he would travel.
It probably kept him from losing his mind, right?
His mind was very solid. Wow. But think about it, to be in prison in the darkness of a dungeon, he would do solitude for, can you imagine going a week without no lights or nothing?
I would have came out like a monkey, bro.
The man would travel, he would travel. I was never in prison, he said that. And you learn, things like that, and you hope you never have to put into practice, but it's been a very storied, wonderful life.
No, listen, man. I know you.
Russell Crowe, my Russell Crowe story. I worked with him before anybody. He wasn't even famous. There was a movie called. It's still out there. It's called Magic, Rough Magic, with the Bridget, not Bridget Fonda, but the daughter. Anyways, she was in it with him, and it was a story about these. Russell Broadbent and other great actors there, and I found myself with this guy who I'd never heard of, but we hit it off. We hung out together, we'd smoke pot together, we'd go traveling together, and I remember him telling me that he was looking for a manager, and I said, well, I don't know anybody. I said, I'll call Jeff Wall, who's married to one of your to Helen Reddy, who's from Australia. I said, if he's interested, I'll call Jeff Wall, and Jeff Wall said, I said, Jeff, I'm working with this actor, man. He's really good. He's looking for management. And he says, what is he? I said, he's from Australia. He goes, that whole thing's locked up by Mel Gibson. He goes, there's no room for them. I go,
oh, really?
And the very next movie, the guy got an Oscar for, I think it was Mulholland or something like that he did. But I've seen him since, and he's always been very warm.
Oh, that's cool, bro.
He's been very warm to me. Yeah. And he's a terrific actor, I was in Australia doing Crocodile Dundee in L.A. Okay. And I'm sitting there in the makeup chair.
What do you mean L.A.? You said Australia, then you said in L.A.
Yeah. It was called Crocodile Dundee in L.A. If you know, it's a movie, right? But it was done in Australia, which in itself is kind of funny. And I'm sitting at the makeup chair, and this Paul, is it Hogan? Yeah, Paul Hogan, the guy that plays that. And in comes a young lady with a big basket, and she starts tapping waltzing Matilda or whatever it was, And it was a basket of gifts from Russell Crowe. And the guy says, you know him? I go, yeah. He goes, well, what's he like? I said, well, don't you know him? There's like 3 Australians in this whole continent here. You guys don't know me. Right. They're fascinated by him. And of course, he's a terrific actor. And I think when you're friends with someone, you don't have to see them every day. And I think if I ever get an opportunity to run into Russell, I think he'll be warm to me like I expect him to be.
I love when the dudes are solid, man, because there's some of them, as you know, man. I mean, we don't have to focus on the negative, but there's some that you're like, oh, man, this guy's
It's easy to be like that when everybody kisses your ass 24 hours a day. Yeah. But there are some that, Russell Crowe suffers no fools, and I've seen him in problems like that. But it's not just a one-way street. Imagine if people take liberties. I'm sure this happens to you. If somebody ask you for an autograph, you give them an autograph, then they come back, they want another one, then they want another. After a while, you have to say, hey, man, fuck off, man. I've done giving you your time. You're trying to. All of a sudden, everything you've done good is not good. All of a sudden, you're addicted to them for the rest of your life. But these are people that sometimes, and people got to take into consideration. We're human. We're not constantly 24 hours jolly. There are days you might catch you at the store. For whatever reason, your own problems. You might not be in a good mood. You might say, hey, not now. You have the right to do that too.
I'll tell you what, my son tells me to stop saying this. He says we manifest what we want. And I always say on stage,
that's heavy, man.
No, I always say, I don't want to be famous. And then we'll go around. Let's say I have a show in Chicago, and we'll go to a restaurant. And I've told him this. I said, bro, my ego's not that big. One person wants a picture, that fills me for the day. Yeah. And honestly, bro, I've manifested where one person per day, we're like, hey, all right, let's go eat. Let's go, yeah. But, I've seen it, man, and the reason I've always said that, because I've been around cats where you can't even eat. Paul, I mean, you can't even eat. You're trying to eat your meal, and it's it just looks uncomfortable, man.
Yeah, also, when you walk out and, the public makes you, the public breaks you, when you walk out, you have a certain responsibility, I believe, to them. A responsibility of being gracious. Hey, ¿cómo estás? How are you? Doesn't mean you have to spend the whole day talking to them. Some of them take it too far. You have to know your limits. But for the most part, being known, the amounts of celebrity, whatever they are, it's a privilege, It really is a privilege. And you want people, you got to understand that that effect will affect them for the rest. They'll tell everybody they know whether the meeting with you was a good one or whether you were a dick.
Right.
And it takes just the same amount of time to be a dick and to be a good guy in their eyes. it's really not that hard. There are certain tricks that you learn after a while. One of the funniest stories I'll tell you. This is hilarious. We were in San Juan Bautista doing La Pastorela with Cheech, right? After we finished filming, we went to this little hole in the wall, this little bar, no nothing. Really, really serious weather. And I'm walking in with Cheech, and this dude goes, Paul Rodriguez. Yeah, oh, he's giving me all the attention. I said, hey, come on, man. He's drunk and all that. And I go, you think I'm famous? Look at this guy, that's Cheech. And all of a sudden, boom, it was Cheech. So we're sitting down, having a couple of beers, and the guy keeps fucking with Cheech. Cheech is looking at me like, man, what did you do? And he passes it, he gets fucked, hey, Cheech. And after a while, I feel like I was the one that outed him out. I should be the one to defend him, right? And I go, hey, can you leave Cheech alone for a minute? Yeah. And the guy pulls out a knife. He goes, I'll fucking cut you. I'll kill you. And Cheech, a genius, man. He dissuaded this in a genius way. I'm going, I'm thinking about either I'm going to get stabbed or I'm going to get this bottle or something,
Right.
And Cheech goes, hey, I'll tell you what. He says, I'll tell you what. Why did you buy us a round of beers right here? You buy us a round. And the guy was, yeah, okay. He went to we never heard of him again. Ask Cheech if this is so. This is one of the stories I'll never forget. That was a genius.
Yeah, that was a smart move.
Yeah, he goes, hey, instead of stabbing him, he didn't say that, but he said, hey. But he was about, he pulled out a big old knife. I said, holy shit, the guy loved me a second ago. He's gonna dress me like a deer now. And he goes, hey, why don't you buy us a round? I'll tell you what, just buy us a round and we're good, huh? And the guy goes, yeah, okay. And he disappeared.
Well, probably Cheech picked up on the fact that the dude was a stingy dude. Yeah. Picked up
but
on
the genius of buying us around did it, What if the guy says, I'm going to buy you around, still going to come and stab this son of a bitch.
And as you know, man, everybody that knows him, Cheech is probably one of the most calmado guys. He's so like zen.
He truly is, though.
He's zen, man. He's always like, okay, you got his character, but when you talk to him, he's super mellow, bro.
He's one of the nicest, for real guys. That he doesn't care whether you're the hottest comic in the moment or the coldest. Yeah. He treats you the same, you know. Meeting him and calling him my friend, him coming over to my house on several occasions, is one of the biggest gifts I ever got. I look up to him, not figuratively, or that's just figuratively, not literally, but. He is, man. He stands tall for me. You forget how old he is, because he has that eternal youth. And every time I'm around him, they just have the 30.
Well, you told me a story, man, where our careers, any entertainer, I don't, it doesn't matter who you are, they're like roller coaster rides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you told me that you were on one of those, the ride was going down.
Right.
And Cheech called you, or I don't know how that happened, but. How did he get you in that movie? In the
Born in East LA?
Born in East LA,
Born
right?
in East LA.
Wasn't it? Didn't you? Okay, is that okay?
No,
I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. That your career needed to pick up again.
Actually,
or no?
Actually, the career was doing fine. I'd done Quicksilver. It was another instant where the career was in a lull, and and he got me a part in it, and he's always been so supportive. I mean, we traveled together and his love for the arts, for painting.
He's got his museum now.
Yeah,
Riverside.
man. And everybody should go there. And he's just someone that I'm so fortunate, like you, to know. I've been around with Tommy and him, and Tommy's a little more to the right. I remember we had an office at the same place, and he'd come down. And he goes, "Why don't you tell your people to cool it?" I was like, "My people, Tommy, I'm going to run the show here." Right. But Cheech is really he's really a great guy, man. You can't say enough about him, I treasure his friendship on the for reals, because it's kind of like he's psychic, man. He kind of knows, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but he might hear of another actor and hit him up and lift his spirits, And this is a gift that since the first time I met him to the last time I met him, he's always that constant,
Right.
He's always, he has that warmness about him.
Yeah, he's grounded, man.
He's
grounded.
Is,
he's like
man.
he's touched.
He truly is.
He's touching the ground, right?
He's an American icon.
Yeah.
I think we're lobbying that he get. I'm talking to some people who are lobbying that he get the American Medal of Freedom. The highest I think we need your signature.
Yeah, absolutely,
I think
bro.
that should be given to him while he's alive. Lalo Guerrero got it,
Yeah.
and few Latinos have gotten, but Cheech certainly deserves it for his
Absolutely.
contribution to become part of American history.
American culture.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Chicano them. You know?
Yeah, I think Cheech and Chong, that their the fame
Sure.
crosses just not only Chicanos. I mean, you could say Cheech and Chong in New York or
These are two
in
guys that-
Boston.
you could say it
and they
anywhere in the
know-
world,
Yeah,
really.
man, and everybody gets it.
These are two guys that met, and had they not met by the circumstances of the times, but when they met, I think in Toronto, and they hooked up together in a little theater. You know, Cheech was over there because the war was going on, and he didn't feel like he wanted to participate in that.
Yeah.
And
He went to
had-
Canada.
Yeah, he has every right to do that. I'm not downing that, but he went over there, and that right there sparked something that, let's face it, had it not been for Cheech and Chong, we'd have very few people to even give us the hint of show business. You know.
Well, you're one of them, bro.
You know?
I mean, come on. I mean, you know, and not because you're here, but obviously, who else was around? I mean, like I said, Freddie Prinze passed away, and then you influenced a lot of people. I believe the guy that followed you was George, and whether, you know, we both know George.
He's making an influence. You know?
Yeah. What I'm saying, I'm sure you influenced him, you know, because you were the only guy. I mean, I don't remember
Well, you
any
know,
other guy.
The thing about
watching.
it is that I never saw myself as the alpha and omega.
Well, you were the
of
only
it.
one, though. You had to.
But you
I mean,
know,
who else was there?
But it was a standard that many of you guys watching on TV went, I could do that better. You know, at least you had that hope. You know, and I think I'm the brick in the wall. I'm a brick in the wall. But I think there in every generation there are people like that. Cheech was that for me, and certainly Freddie Prinze. Cheech was more or less of a comic duo, but Cheech.
When you were an open micer, were you open micer, which means you're just getting your feet wet. You learn how to hold the mic. You learn how to get words out of your mouth to be humorous. Were you an open micer, and Cheech was already at another level?
Oh yeah, I remember going to see them at the Troubadour.
The Troubadour, yeah.
The Troubadour.
So you were an open micer.
Yes.
And did you ever try to go talk to him backstage?
I couldn't get backstage that time. I didn't meet him that time, but yeah, he was definitely someone
Like a rock. They were rock stars.
Absolutely.
Because only rock bands at that time played the
Troubadours,
Troubadour, right?
Yeah, the Troubadour was a small room, but it was sold out. All shows. They were doing 2 shows a night. It was sold out, and at the time, I remember standing outside listening to them their songs. You know.
So you paid your ticket? Did you buy a ticket?
I buy a ticket. Well, I didn't have the bread for one show, but the other show, a girlfriend of mine bought a ticket, and I'm trying to get in, and they would let everybody in, and they shut the door, and I was like 3 behind. I was going, oh man, what luck of mine. I never got to see that live, but I stood in line for 2 days. And
What do you mean 2 days?
No, for 2 days. You know, I didn't in line, but they had 2 days. They played 2 days.
Okay.
And,
I was like, man, you're a
sold
diehard
out.
fan, bro.
Well, I stood longer to see what's his name in Broadway to see.
Zoot Suit?
No, not I didn't see Zoot Suit, but a Kiss of the Spider Woman with who's that Puerto Rican guy? Was a terrific actor, good friends with Tony Plana. He come down here. He died. He did El Salvador. He was he was Gomez in The Godfather. Somebody help me.
Raul Julia.
Raul Julia, who was a magnificent guy. I got to meet him through Tony Plana. You know, the guy could do Shakespeare, man. You know, and he could do comedy. He could do everything, man. He was taken from us too soon, but
Great actor.
yeah. And I
For the new generation that doesn't know who he is.
stood in line there to meet him, you know, and I remember a friend of mine says, well, just, you know, he comes out to the back, you know. Wait, I never got to see him there, but later on through Planica's a great actor, he came down and he would do Shakespeare in the Park, and he would inspire a lot of young students at East LA College, you know.
Tony Plana cracked me up, bro. I'll give you a Tony Plana story. I met him one time at some award thing. You know, Latinos, we don't have projects, but we have awards.
Yeah.
We always have awards.
And they'd have to look for something to award.
Yeah.
There was no movies, no bands this
I
year.
know, we were giving some awards. So I remember it was this event for awards, and I wanted to meet Tony Plana. You know, he's a great actor.
He is.
And a friend of mine, who's a mutual friend, and then said, "Hey, this is Willie Barcena, up and coming young comedian, this was 25 years ago." And he goes, what's your name? I said, my name is Willie Barcena. And I was like, yeah, he shook my hand, right? And then we're in the parking lot, and he's leaving in his car, and I'm looking at him like that. And he goes, Willie Barcena, huh? I said, yeah. He goes, fuck you. And I just cracked up, bro. It was the last thing I expected. I thought it was going to be like, good meeting you. He said, fuck you.
Planicus, I call him. He's a terrific actor, married to a Mexican American, Ada, and they're really good. They're both working all the time. I just talked to him not too long ago. One of his sons is a doctor, man. He's a surgeon, you know, and he's also in the movie with us. And one time I was reading for something, and he was over at the house, and I said, Tony, I'm really out of my depth, and he never let me forget that, you know. He says, any parts that you're out of your depth for? You know, because he studied in the Royal Academy, you know.
He's listen, brother.
I first heard of him when he was an officer and a gentleman, right? I call him an officer and a Cuban.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
I was kidding about it.
He was in El Salvador, right?
He was in three. I mean, Tony Blair.
And he's a minute.
Tony Blair works all the time.
Yeah, his resume.
I saw him the other day. I was watching this movie that Woody Harrelson, the White House plumbers, you know, they did on the thing, and all of a sudden he's one of the Cuban guys there that came out. A terrific actor, great friend, you know. Yeah.
Hey, brother, check this out, man. Hope you don't mind. I want to take a little break, and then when we come back, man, I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk about you as a young comic, how you got in, and the Comedy Store, man, because the Comedy Store is iconic, man.
It is.
It's like it's the Hall of Fame, and you were in.
It was heyday. It was the heyday.
Or you are in. Not saying that nobody gets out. Once you're in, you're in. You know. Yeah. So.
I love Mitzi Shore. She was like a mother.
I want to talk to you about that. So we'll come back, man. Let's take a little break, bro.
All right, there.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to share some dates with you. I'm going to be out and about doing some stand-up. Okay. January 12th, Friday, I'm going to be in El Monte, California at the Post. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. The next day, on the 13th, I'm going to be at the Kennedy and the Jazz Club in Hollywood, California. 2 shows. 8 o'clock shows already sold out. And then we have a 10 o'clock show, still some tickets available. January 20th, I'm going to be in Portland, all right? I'm going to be at the Aladdin Theater, 8 o'clock show, January 20th, Portland. Looking forward to seeing all my Portland people, all right? Mad love. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy this podcast. This is badass, man. Hang out with Paul Rodriguez. And when I hang out with comedians that have... resumes that are long, man, and been around, I always want to, I want to know nuggets of your life, you know, that maybe other people don't know. Because I knew it was, trying to break in the Comedy Store with Mitzi, right?
Yeah.
Was it still that way where she sat there and looked at you, and then you were... I'm sure because before you got picked, you're an open micer, right?
Yes. I was working at a disco club called Osco's.
Was this downtown, right?
No, it was in just down in La Cienega and Malverde Street, I think. And it was an old place where they did the movie Thank God It's Friday. So,
I was gonna say. Yeah.
So I was doing. That
was that scene where the guy parks a fancy car and they hit it. He puts a cover on it, right? They hit it like 3-4 times.
They did it there, and I used to have a part-time job for $50. I would MC the male exotic dancers. They used to come out. Hey, here he is, Spider-Man. And Vato comes out, and all the women would go crazy. It was always a fascination to me. So I was getting paid for that, and then at the bottom there was a cellar, and we started doing comedy there.
Because there was they don't have comedy clubs weren't around the country, right?
No.
Because a lot of comedians. We're doing it in strip bars.
Yep.
Did you do comedy in a strip bar?
Yeah, I worked at Playboy clubs too. I did the old Playboy clubs, you know.
You did it in between the strippers.
In between the strippers, I would go out there.
Okay, was it hard, bro? You got a bunch of horny dudes with boners, and then hey, here come one here a joke. Was that? I mean, that must be hard, man.
The funniest joke isn't as funny as a pair of titties. I'm telling you, because that would take all the attention away. But I would cop to that. I would tell them, look, I'm here. I know you don't want to see me, but. The ladies got to change into their outfits, so it's either this or silence, you know. So just bear with me. I'd find a way to get them to your side.
You had to get creative.
And from there, I got hired to do the Playboy Club in New York. I was in New York doing the Playboy Club. That's on Fifth and Madison.
Oh, did somebody see you? Did somebody from New York see you and say,
Jeff
"Hey,
Kutash.
hey, kid, I'm gonna take you to New York"?
Jeff Kutash had a dance troupe. Jeff Kutash dancers, you know, and they did this old time strip tease with feathers and stuff, and you know, it's very alluring. But after a while, you see the girls butt naked every day. Believe it or not, that gets old.
Really?
It gets old, you know. Seeing chichis everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it was so much, so many opportunities that.
Did you ever fall in love with a stripper?
Oh man,
Did you ever have like a relationship and then say like, man, you know what? I can take you away from this, baby.
There was a girl named her real name was Eugenia Esteves, if memory serves, and she went by the name of Dallas.
All right.
And she was the most beautiful girl, and I started hitting her. We slept together a couple of times.
But did you tell her I want to take you away from all this?
And she looked at me. She goes, "You see any chains around me? I'm not doing this because I hate it. I love it." She was an exhibitionist, and I wanted to make a good woman out of her.
Right.
You know? What could I offer? You know, I'm getting $800 a month in New York, but I had a great time. And at the same time, I remember crying when some big Catrin guy with Feria, she took her. You know, I was gonna have a date with her. She took her. I remember seeing her walk away and crying like a little bitch. Me quitaron. And
what do you mean you took like you were there working? She was dancing.
She was dancing.
And then the guy comes in, the big deep pockets, and just took her.
And it turned out it was her novio. It was her man. She was cheating on him with me, you know. And I thought we had connected on a higher level. Yeah. All she wanted was just someone to give it to her good. And
right.
I thought I fell in love. You know, she kept telling me to.
You cried, bro?
I cried, bro.
Where did you cry? Right at the
in
club?
The dressing room.
In between.
Like a bitch.
Wait a minute. And before your set?
Yeah, man.
You were fucking crying.
Because, you know,
bro, you're young.
They used to do 2 shows. 2 shows at night, and she was going to leave the second show. She told me, that she said, "Hey, don't talk to me. My real boyfriend's here." I said, "What are you talking about?" "My boyfriend's here. Don't miss." I said, "All right." So I figured it was just that they were going to go out. She was going to come back. But they took off. You know, they took off. And I'm there all cried. Eugenia.
Was it hard? Was it hard to tell jokes, bro, with a broken heart? Or
you're a professional. You went out there. Your eyes were red. You say, "Hey, I was doing marijuana." Whatever it was.
I thought your set would be different. Like, what about women, huh? Fucking bitches.
No, but you know, un clavo saca otro, like they say, you know. Right. And there were plenty of girls there that eased my pain. You know, after a while, Dallas was just a memory. Although even to this day,
well, she's a long memory, bro, because you still remember her.
Bro, she was finer than cat hair. Tenía un cuerpo perfecto, unos labios, tenía ojos así, really strange, kind of gray eyes. Everything was in the right place, and man, in bed, she was a demon. Hey, Eugenia, I suppose now you're older, you're married, you got kids.
Probably she's a grandma now,
You're a grandma. I want you to know, Eugenia, you make the right choice. And let me tell you, in the top 5, you're in the top 5 best ladies I ever had. God bless you.
Oh, wow, bro.
It was something
top 5. That's pretty good. That's saying a lot, bro.
Oh, man. That's, you know, in the sex department with girls, I've been very, very fortunate, man. I think in that thing, I was a billionaire.
Yeah, I've always seen you at clubs, man. Even before I was a stand-up. I was like 21 years old, and I used to...
Well, that's really the reason why we do this. When it's all said and done...
I see at a club called Circus, bro. We talked about this. You were always in a circle with like 5 chicks, bro. I was like, look at
some
this.
Kinky ones, man. Some kinky. You know, you have these fantasies of, you know, I'd like to be with 2 girls, and then all of a sudden there's 3, and you realize there's not enough dick for one. You know, you have enough coke and stuff. Your dick won't work. It was one of the punishments of, you know, you have so much of it, you know, and then your penis is, I'm done.
And that's before Viagra or any of that, bro. Your dick was on its own. It was raw.
You have to find a car de mariscos, you know, a couple of ostiones and still make it work. It was, and then they would get together, and you were a spectator, man.
So you were in New York. So you did the Playboy Club in New York
when Lennon was killed. That's another thing. I'm living down the Dakotas on 92nd and West Central Park. And it was a Monday. I remember because Howard Cosell interrupted Monday Night Football. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, what a tragedy. John Lennon was just shot and killed on the Dakotas," which was on my way home. And I remember going there, huge crowd. Everybody was singing with candles and stuff like that. Yeah. That was one guy that I really, really would have loved to have met. And I regret I didn't get his autograph at the Comedy Store. I was just working the parking lot. When John Lennon was there
Yoko?
No. There was another Asian lady, but the other singer, the guy that sang, what's his name? Harry Nielsen.
Okay.
Harry Nielsen. They were there at the comedy store,
Okay.
and they were drunk as hell, making noises. And I remember the head guy there said, "Hey, go tell table number whatever it was to be quiet." And I was going, and I turned around and it's John Lennon, man. And I looked at him and I went, and I turned around. I went back and he goes, "Did you tell him to be quiet?" I go,
So you were the door guy?
"Yeah, well, no, I was not quite the door guy. The comedy store, there's a front guy.
Yeah.
I think his name was Harris.
Yeah, the front guy, and then there's the door guy on the side.
Right, and then, you hang around for somebody to drop off. You hope, I hope so and so has a car accident so that I can take a spot. And you're a filler, right? So I'm back there, and they were ruckus,
Right.
And they're interrupting the comics, and he came back and sent me like a pendejo. Go tell that table to cool it down, right? And I remember walk over there. I was going to tell him, "Hey, you guys got to cool it down." And I tapped him on the shoe, turned around, and it's fucking John Lennon, bro. And I went,
shit. Well, I know, he's speechless.
"It's okay, nothing." He goes, "Yes." I said, "Damn." I went over there and I told the guy, I said, that's John Lennon. He goes, "I don't give a shit who it is." I do. Because if you go over there, I'm going to kick your ass. I love that man. That man he could do no wrong, man. He did so much for peace.
So you weren't a regular yet. You were just getting your spots.
Yeah. Well, you are a regular. You audition for Mitzi Shore.
No, but that's what I want to know.
But you're on call. Inevitably some comic would drop by. Imagine
when
this.
did you get the thumbs up? How did she do it for you? Because when I was trying to get in, which I never got in, but when I was trying to get in, you would do your set, and then you pass by her, and you kind of do it slow, and you're hoping that she says, "Yeah, sit down, I want to talk to you." I never got that. I would even walk a little slower.
The secret to that, you wanted somebody to padrinarte. For me, it was Argus Hamilton, who's still there.
Oh, yeah.
Argus Hamilton.
He's still there, bro.
Yeah, you go through him. I went through him, and he whispered into her, and then you got to audition. Now, he told me, "Don't come to me until you're ready, because you only have one chance. When you're ready, I'll get you on that lineup. We're going over there." And I was ready. I said, "I'm ready,"
Okay.
And you got 5 minutes. And I went up there, and I used to sling tortillas. My act was tight. Sling tortillas. I had the knife, had all this, the mustache thing, and I killed. And I came by, and I told Argus, "What?" He goes, "She wants to see you." And I sat down and says, "Where are you from?" I said, "Here." He goes, "You got to take that mustache off. You look too much like Freddie Prinze. You can't compete with a dead man."
Oh,
I said,
shit.
"I'll go in the bathroom and take it out right now." And she made me a regular, man. It was a wonderful day. And after that, she had great love for me. She put me in a very special part. When I got AK published, she threw a party at her house.
Wow.
It was a threw a party for me and Jim Carrey at her house. Jim had a TV series at the time. He was a cartoonist. She threw a party. My father there. I got pictures. I have a picture right now on my phone that somebody sent me, where it's Mitzi, my father, and my mother.
Oh wow!
If you care to look at it, I'll give it to you. You can show it in the podcast.
No, I want to. Yeah.
There's a picture of Mitzi Shore, my father and my mom, and me. And in the back, I think it's Polly Shore. Somebody sent it to me saying, Paul, the daughter, the son of Mitzi Shore, he said, "Hey, we were going through our archives. I find the thing you'd like to have it." And I looked at her.
Was this Paulie?
No, not Paulie, his brother.
Oh, okay.
His brother. Send me the picture, and I have it. And your audience will see it right now, because after the show, you'll get it from me. Yeah.
So what was because man, coming from that world, especially that blue collar, hardworking immigrant family, what was their reaction to you wanting to be a stand-up man? Because I'm sure they were like, "Mijo, ve a la escuela, study.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?"
They didn't know what that was.
Right.
They didn't know what that was. I was going to college. I was living at home.
Where are you going at? Where are you going to
I was
school?
going to Cal State. I was going to Long Beach City College, where I met Gabriel Iglesias. The same teacher introduced me and Gabriel, and the rest is history. I told her, "You shouldn't be a teacher, be an agent." He discovered me and Gabriel, and then after that, I'd finished that, got my AA, which is basically high school again. Then I was just enrolled to Cal State Long Beach, where I wanted to get a degree in English. And my goal was to go on to Stanford. I figured I would have made it because I'm a minority. My grades are pretty good. And I would have got there. But anyways, on my way there is when a guy named Chesty Aragon, my very best friend.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, was he in that movie North there?
No, he was in Hollywood Shuffle.
Okay.
He was also in Heart Like a Wheel with Bonnie Bedelia. And
He got killed in the motorcycle,
got
right?
killed in a motorcycle accident. One of the regrets of my life. He was such a wonderful guy. Terrible stand-up comic, but a wonderful guy. I'd give him permission to use all my jokes, the best ones, and he'd fuck them up.
Fuck it up, yeah.
I go, look, you take the thing out. But I loved him. He was my very best friend. When I was in the Air Force, he would write to me. He goes, hey, when you get out, come over here. We're going to be roommates. I just got a part in Barney Miller. Watch it. And
wow.
I watch it through Armed Forces radio. I was in Iceland at the time. And he was my best friend. We lived together for a while. And we made a pact that should something happen to us, I had just had a baby, and Paulie, and he just had a baby. We promised each other that that we see our kids through, you know.
Right.
So, he passed away. I think he'd be very proud to know that his son is an engineer. He graduated, and I paid for some of it. Yeah.
Does he ask you a lot about it?
Because of the, I hate that, man, because I get so emotional sometimes. There are moments in life that just touch a certain chord, you know.
Yeah.
I really miss him. Imagine this. When Jesse Aragon died, there was a crowd of people. He had such an eclectic amount of friends, you know. Richard Pryor was there, and just everybody. To the credit of Robert, the director of
Townsend? Robert Townsend?
Robert Townsend paid for his funeral.
Oh, wow, man.
I didn't have the Fetty at the time. He paid for all his funeral, and for that, I always thank Robert Townsend. But he died in a motorcycle accident, and I remember me telling him, dude, get off that motorcycle. It's deadly, you know. It's winter. And he had his car that broke down, and I said, look, man, I got a couple of checks coming. We're going to buy a car. You get off that motorcycle. And I was on my way to the Comedy Store when his wife called me. Dejan was his wife. He called me and says, Jesse got into an accident. He's at White Memorial. And I said, is it serious? He goes, I don't know, but I don't think so. He's at White Memorial. So I figured I'd go do my set, and then I'd go see him, you know. And I did my set, and I got on the phone. I wanted to talk to him. And they said, he's not there. He's not there. And the lady very nonchalantly, she goes, well, let me check this list. And she looked and she goes, oh, he's deceased. Told me just like that. And it was a horrible day, man. He was such a great guy, man. On his birthday, I still take him flowers over here to a forest lawn. He's buried there not too far from Michael Jackson. That's another funny story. All the people that dig up Michael Jackson is buried there in an anonymous grave, right? But all the people that dig people up are Mexicanos, no? I remember one time, flowers, and the guy go, oye, usted es Paul Rodríguez, oye, ¿sabes qué? Yo sé dónde está vestido el... Le dije, ¿quién? Tú sabes el... Y de vez en cuando yo los saco al cabrón cuando tengo parientes que vienen de Guanajuato, a ver, los saco, le abro, no chilles. Sí, they run everything, you know. Yo sé cuál tumba, es la número, quién sabe qué. Dice, ahí está él, todos, nadie sabe, pero yo. Porque yo fue el que los saco al cabrón. Y decía,
really?
Y ya, bien chistoso.
Wow, man. You think it's a real story?
He never took it out for me, but I bet if I go down there, I go, a ver, cabrón. Ahorita venga como a las 11, ahorita saco el pinche forklift, lo sacamos.
That's crazy, brother.
Yeah, they know.
You were there, but you were there in the heyday, brother. You were there when all these guys were young comedians, right? Letterman, right?
Yeah, Letterman. You could have seen for $8. You could have seen Letterman, who was the host.
Right.
You'd have seen the biggest star at the time was the Unknown Comic, you know, because he was on this show called Make Me Laugh.
What was it?
Mike Binder. You could have seen Mike Binder. You could have seen Gallagher. You could have seen Yakov Smirnoff. You could have seen all these guys. Yeah. Robin Williams would come. He was at the peak of his fame, and he'd come in and he'd go up there for just an amazing guy.
Was he at that time? Who was the guy who? Because they always pick some guy that's rocking the world, and they'll make that guy closes, right?
One guy was bigger than the other, man. When Robin was in, even Pryor told me one time, he goes, don't ever go on stage with that boy.
He said that?
He'll make you like a fool. Because
really? Richard Pryor said that?
Yeah. Right. He would do a lot of improv with other comics, you know. There was a comedy troupe called, I don't know what they called. It wasn't Second City. They weren't here yet. But they would do a lot. And Robin would go up there, and he was just unhinged, hilarious, and people would come by, you know, And I remember sitting, because I was for about 6 weeks, I was Pryor's driver, you know. I got that job. Mitzi got me that job, and I got to be close to him.
How was he, bro? What
He
kind
was
of?
a tragic person, man. He was very in his house. He was very morose. He was very always down, and we tried to cheer him up. And
Was this when the sickness came in already?
no, this is way before.
Way before, so he wasn't sick yet, right?
No, the sickness was coming on. We knew something was wrong, but he never told me. I got fired before then. But Paul Mooney and I did a tribute to him at the Comedy Store when he announced to us that he had X number of 6 months to live, and of course he died way before that. But he wasn't sad about that because he was still very jovial about that. He was sad about something he never confided in me. But Mooney said later that he always saw himself as unfulfilled. He hadn't done something that he wanted to do, and I couldn't think of what. You know,
Right.
Pryor was at the very top, but he was very, 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 very down on himself, and we tried to cheer him up. Hey, man, let's go in your car, man. Let's go find some white women. he go, you a fool. Not everything. Not a white woman can solve everything, but they come close.
Did you ever do drugs with Richard Pryor, bro?
No, I didn't. He wouldn't allow that. He would.
What do you mean he wouldn't allow that?
Well, he wouldn't allow nobody that worked for him to do drugs.
Oh,
I remember
but he was part of that.
he had a bowl
That's
of bowl of Coke that big that I would take a little bit. That was $60 a gram. That put a lot of gas in me,
Right,
And
right.
he knew I wasn't stealing. I would never steal.
Yeah.
Sometimes he would leave money, cash in his bathroom, and then to find out who was trustworthy.
Okay.
I remember one time seeing quite a bit of hundreds, and I said, Richard, there's this money in your bathroom. You must have left it there. I said, you want to get there? He goes, leave it. He goes, you passed the test.
Oh wow.
What test, And he wanted to know. He was very, because he would invite people, he had a lot of people, and he was generous to a fault, but he would put little traps to find out of your honesty,
Right.
I remember when he fired me, I was surprised. I said, why? He said, I talked to Mitzi. He goes, you don't need to be driving me around. You're funny. And you're fired. Whoa. And
I was trying to do you a favor.
he did. It
Yeah.
did. And Mitzi took me away from parking cars and stuff like that. Gave me a regular shot at the Comedy Store in the main room. Man, in that period, you would follow Howie Mandel, you had Dice Clay, you had the Bobcat Goldthwait. You had one
Sam
guy was
Kinison.
Kennison. One guy was funnier than the other. He goes,
It's fucking
"Whoa."
rock star. It was like the rock star.
And you sit there, man. You sit there, you go, wow, I can't follow that, but you would because the audience is boiling. I'll tell you a funny story about the Dice Clay. Paul Mooney, for whatever reason, was up there and he had annoyed some other black guy, and he got mad. You high yellow motherfucker, whatever it was, and the mood got into a bad situation. Well, get the fuck out of here! People were walking out, and everything. He threw the mic down, and then Dice Clay was next, And Dice Clay, very calmly picked up the mic, cleaned it, put it up there, He did the cigarette thing, and he said, so I was fucking Aunt Jemima in the ass. Boom! I spit my batter all over her black ass, and everybody turned around, and he destroyed that night. And Andy Dice Clay was, and after that he did the thing with one of the greats also, Rodney Dangerfield, and that blew him up. Rodney was always telling me, next year we get you on, next year we get you on. He never got me on, but we did establish a great friendship. And
I like watching. I got to see Rodney many times.
Did you ever see the 75th anniversary that I did with him on HBO? Catch it. It's on YouTube. It's one of my crowning glories. Everybody's afraid to make jokes about him, and I go out there. I went, Rodney didn't do a goddamn thing for me.
Yeah.
I did this whole thing.
Yeah,
And,
you said, because everybody was thanking him.
Yeah.
And you said, I want to thank him for nothing.
Yeah, he didn't do a goddamn thing for me.
I remember,
I did this whole thing about the crack dealer Julio, and the dance was Bob Saget, rest in peace, and it was myself, Louis Anderson. It was two other, I think it was Richard Lewis and somebody else, and they wouldn't say anything bad about Rodney because it was hard.
Yeah.
But I said, Rodney, I'm gonna tear you anyone. I said, here's Steve Allen, who was the host, and here's Rodney Dangerfield. They're both 75 each. Steve Allen hasn't done anything more drugs, as far as drugs, Tagament MD. And look at Rodney. He's done every damn thing there is to do. He's deforested Peru and whatever the fuck I said. And then after the show, he says, "Hey, you know, they couldn't get anybody famous, so they got Paul."
Hey, what about? Okay, I'm gonna ask you. I heard through a friend. I think we both knew this cat is. Remember, he passed away. Freddie Asparagus.
Yeah.
He kind of took me under his wing. He passed away. He was in the movie Three Amigos, and he was one of the guys that was trying to get me in, but I was.
Hey, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
He used to do his wrestler bit.
Yeah. Did you see? Okay.
Freddie was very funny.
Did you see Andy Garcia, the actor, when he was trying to be a comedian?
No.
Because that's what they told me. They told me that he was trying to.
Never
at
saw
the
Andy.
store.
I saw Mr. Mom. What's his name?
Yeah.
He was a stand-up.
He was the guy that was Batman.
He was a great stand-up.
Right? The guy was Batman?
Yeah. Michael
Keaton.
Michaal Keaton, man, he was a great stand-up, really good. He would rock the house. Another person that you wouldn't think was stand-up was Greg. Who's this guy that was dating Mitzi at the time? He had his own series called The Coach.
Oh yeah. He was a stand-up.
Coach. He was a stand-up. He did
I didn't
stand-up.
know he was stand-up,
Yeah.
man.
A lot of them did stand-up. They went on to become actors, and then they don't do stand-up no more. Their acting career gave them enough money. Sadly enough, it's sad that for example, Jim Carrey doesn't do any stand-up anymore.
Let me ask you this: What do you like? What do you get more joy from?
Stand-up.
Acting or stand-up?
Stand-up.
Yeah, I don't get any joy out of acting, man.
You do acting so that people will buy a ticket to see you do stand-up.
Yeah.
See, there are comics who are comics first and actors second, like I would say George Carlin.
Yeah.
George Carlin did some movies, but his whole thing was stand-up, you know.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are actors who do stand-up casually. Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is a great actor. He's a great stand-up. Wish he would do more. Pryor was mainly a stand-up. He did a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's no danger of an Academy Award coming there. But yeah, man, stand-up. You know what? Stand-up is therapy. You know, only you know what you can whatever how you're feeling. You know, I remember asking Pryor how did he write, and he said he didn't write. He went up there and talked about how he felt that day. You know, that was a heavy.
But okay. I've heard this. I had this talk with some young comedians, and when I hear young comedians say, "I don't write," I go, even that." Because I bought a book.
Everybody writes.
I bought a book, and it had Richard Pryor's. You could see his notes, his comedy notes.
That's when he was preparing for a special.
Yeah.
With Mooney, yeah, but he did have notes.
Yeah, but there's so
But
I
he
don't want.
Fremantle.
I don't want a young comedian out there to get the wrong message, man, and thinking like, oh, you don't have to write, because I think when you don't write,
Who's gifted like a Pryor, man? If
Yeah.
you're not gifted like a Pryor, who is?
but you at least at the bare minimum.
You should have
even
some
if
ideas.
You got to have at least a premise or bullet point. You know, maybe you don't write it out exactly.
I've seen you do that at the Laugh Factory. That's very good. You go up there with certain ideas that you
Yeah.
had that day and you work them out. Only an audience can tell you if your stuff is funny or not. You know, being a stand-up, the audience is your instrument. You know, that's your guitar.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to it's impossible for me at least to sit down and be funny in an empty room. You know,
Right.
Because a lot of times, true comics, I think we think funny,
Yeah.
but we're not evaluated or we're not really know until the audience tells
Let me
you.
tell
You
you.
know?
Yeah, like
And I also tell you, and look, there's some jokes you have in your act. I'm sure there's some in mine that I like them, but they're not funny. But I
Yeah,
like them.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the audience tells you, "Hey, why keep doing this?" But you do it for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
certain bits that you know, you say to yourself, "One of these days, I'm gonna find the right wording, and they're gonna know how genius this comedy is." But maybe it isn't. The audience really is the final judge.
No, you're right. I mean, they do let you know what works and what doesn't, and that, I mean, I'm sure it's happened to you, Paul, where I go up there and I try it, I say it, and I listen to it, and I'm like, okay, let me try it this way, and then.
And there's the accidental where you.
Yeah, an accident.
When you just- when
By an accident. Yeah.
One word defines it. You go.
Yeah.
It surprises you. Wow, what did I just say? You tell yourself, "Wow, that was funny. I got to remember that shit." You know.
Right.
But it's one word. The same premise is one word makes it all clear to them, and you know that is really the magic. it's like panning for gold, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
When you find a good line, right, that
man.
you thought about it,
Bro,
you
it's
deliver.
a high. It's a high.
It is a high. It is a high.
You can be as sober as you want to be, but when you deliver a joke that you wrote and you created,
That's why so many times we turn to other substances because we're trying to find that same feeling. You know, that throwing a grenade and you go, wow, I knew it was funny. I didn't know it was that funny. And then you try it some nights. It doesn't have the same value, but there are certain grenades you have that you know this audience has to be from Mars. This works all the time, anywhere, that side or this side of the Mississippi. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now we just had a breakthrough. You just explained my drinking. Right? I never knew why I was always looking for that high.
Dude, I have, this is a confession. I have done every drug known to mankind. I was even on heroin.
Well, I'm glad you're still here to say it.
I was on heroin for about 6 months. There was this girl that I really cared for.
Only a girl would get me to do it, bro.
We were living together. Check this out. And she had a terrible heroin addiction, and I was trying to get her to go get help. And she goes, "You don't understand. This stuff is." So I started smoking with her. Never slammed. I slammed one time, but it wasn't her.
Bro, this pussy must have been fire. I can only a fucking fire ass chick would be like, "All right, fuck it, only once."
Her and I were days, weeks would go by. We're on heroin. I got really hooked on it, and then I said, "Okay, I'm really hooked on it. I'm gonna show you. We're gonna stop today. We're gonna stop no more."
Okay.
And she goes, "Okay." She went for about 12 hours, and I said, "Look, it could be done." Went through the shakes and everything.
Yeah.
And I had diarrhea, terrible, but I quit just to show her that, you know. And I never went back on it.
Wow, brother.
And that's people have told me that's impossible.
Yeah, that's deep.
Well, it did happen, you know. And unfortunately, she went off and she overdosed. She died. You know?
Oh, wow, man.
And but I was trying to show her that. Come on, together.
Yeah, you can quit. Look at me, I can quit.
We can beat this. He goes, "You haven't been doing it for as long." I said, well, how long does it take? After 6 months, and I was missing gigs and everything, I said, "Is this hooked up enough for you?" She goes, "Yeah, you can't stop now." And I said, "We're stopping today."
Okay, I've never done heroin, bro. How was the sex on heroin?
It's like
Is it higher than regular?
Well, after a while, you lose. It kills
No,
your
let's talk about the
sexuality.
first time. I know. Let's
Oh
say
well,
the
that is like it's like having your dick sucked by a beautiful girl for 24 hours in a row, man.
Wow.
You never come right away. You just you add it and add it and add it. It's magnificent. That's the addiction. Somebody said that heroin is like it's like hugging God. You know, the warmth. You know, and
Wow.
it's a magnificent thing. But the treacherous part of that is that after a while, you're just doing it not because you're getting high, but you're doing it just so you won't be sick. The high goes away, and you're just doing it. You're not getting anything out of it other than maintaining not being sick. And when you reach that point, you're really hooked. And I reached that point, and I kept trying to tell her, "We're not getting high anymore. Let's stop." And she goes, "What are you talking about? I'm getting high." And you're just trying to chase that drug and get a higher and higher dose. And when she turned to the needle, and I wouldn't cross that line.
Okay.
She had to go. And soon after that, she was found overdosed. Man. It was a very serious tragedy.
I'm glad you didn't follow that lead, brother.
I'm too vain for that, man. I'm too vain. I had things to do. You know, drug gonna do that. But a lot of heroin addicts have told me, "You're a liar. Nobody does that." I did that.
Right.
To this day, I can tell you, I got no puncture marks, and on my mother's life, I'm not going home to do any of that. You know, it enslaves you. You can't travel with it. You know, and the road was so wonderful for me. It was alluring. Now, of course, I still want to do, but I don't have the strength anymore. Those days.
I think, bro, and I think we've talked about this. We know each other off cameras and things like that, man. Man, I would really love for you to do a special, man. You know, I think one, and even you know how like those bands, the Eagles, they call it the final tour. Do you know what I mean? I think you mean one more special, bro. Call it like, you know, adios amigos or me la pelan, whatever, man. Call it something, but I think you got it.
I wish I had one in me, you know?
I know you have it, bro. I've seen you at the Laugh Factory, man. I've seen you when you're working out, and then I've seen you bits that gotten warmer, and then they hit,
That's
and I go, oh shit. No, bro. I go, look. Oh shit. I've been back there with other comedians, and we go, look, man, he's just flowing right now.
I like to do one in Spanish. I did the very first one. I did one in Spanish called Dime Con Quien Andas. It was Bye Bye Telemundo. Every once in a while I get letters from somewhere in Latin America, still running over there. And I did that at Fantasy Springs. and I just did that we had extra time, so I did that in Spanish. And I see a lot of Spanish comics working. They might not admit it, but I did that the first one. And I want to do one in Spanish if I do one because you know, when you learn whatever language you learn, that your brain is programmed in that language. Even though it gets faster as the years, I still think in Spanish, you know. Pienso yo en español y automáticamente cambio, ¿no? Y cambia uno y empiezas a hablar este lenguaje y a veces cuando hablas mochado o pocho, pero de vez en cuando se te prende el foco y dices, oye, es un idioma que tiene tan expansión, ¿no? Para hablar y figurar en diferentes modos que el inglés es limitado, tiene mucho slang, muchas cosas que tienen doble entiendo, ¿no? Como dope, cuando estaba yo creciendo quiere decir drogas y ahora quiere decir algo bueno, ¿no? Lo cambia cada rato, pero el español es tan rico, ¿no? Si tú lees el libro de Don Quijote de Cervantes, ¿no? Y lo lees, ves la comedia que tiene, la curiosidad, las palabras. Es un lenguaje muy antiguo y tiene mucho que dar. Y veo a los comediantes que dicen sus rutinas en español y digo, qué buena onda, ¿no? Qué buena onda, pero yo lo hubiera hecho diferente, ¿no? But yeah, Spanish.
I sold a lot of my jokes to a comedian, and he goes, Willie, because my Spanish is choppy, bro. And I'll tell you, I don't want to use the word victim, but it was a time when I was in school, if you were speaking Spanish, pichi mojado, you know, fucking wetback.
But you have it in your blood. See, I didn't speak Spanish that well, but when I got the show in Univision and they told me how to learn, I took a course.
You know what, bro? They bring back memory because I remember watching you, and I remember you at times, you would get stuck, right, with some words.
But I got a teacher, man, for 2 hours a day, and refreshed me. Y ahora yo puedo hablar el español sin tener división o acento, que es algo diferente. Porque si no te fijas bien, empiezas a hablar el español así como lo hablan los aduanales, ¿no? Así, o por favor, usted no tiene que... O como este comediante blanco de Indiana, Sites, habla así, sabe todas las palabras, pero no puede hablarlo sin el acento americano, ¿no? And that's a very rare thing when you can speak Spanish without an English accent or English without a Spanish accent. It doesn't come natural. And I believe if you would have the dedication to do that, and you should, by the way, because your brilliance should be shared in Spanish in the original language. And it's not that hard. It's not that hard because it's already in your blood, and all you would need is to hire a teacher that just have the discipline. That's what you need. And for me, it was the money for when you said the discipline, 2 hours a day, and I'd go through my consonants. You learn how to read it, how to write it, how to understand it. And if you read a book in Spanish once a week, then you refresh. And how I do it now, I cheat. What I do now is I listen.
Novelas?
No, I listen to Spanish stations.
Oh, okay.
You go, my car has all the Spanish stations, the talk stations. I listen how they talk, and that's how I keep it fresh. You know,
that's a good tip, brother.
Yeah.
By the way, for the young generation, man, Paul had a show just like a Tonight Show, but it was in Spanish, and it was the first of its kind, man. I believe because it incorporated the American style,
right?
But because it's you, the host, and
they would tell me at the time that you had to dress funny, you know, like in a pea suit or a clown suit or something like that.
Like,
but I was the first. I wear a suit.
Yeah.
And I said my dress is in my language, and it was very pocho. And even big stars, Julio Iglesias, people come in, they correct me, but they found funny in that. Yeah. But my Spanish got to be very good, and it's very good now. You know?
No, it is, brother. You've always pushed me because there are times
Think about it. There's over 1.5 billion people just south of us from here to Punta del Fuego, you know, in Argentina.
I thought you were going to say in East LA.
No, probably in one house. But Spanish is just like English. A lot of colonies, and they speak with their own accent, whatever. Yeah. But Spanish has a regio. Tiene algo que esta palabra quiere decir esto en este país, en aquel país. Yeah. Hay otras formas de decirlo, pero tiene su guardia, su calificación. And si hablas el español, lo hablas bien, puedes hacerte entender en cualquier calle, en Argentina, en Chile, in these places. And I like to visit all those places before I go. It's on my bucket list. You know, I have visited South America. I've been to Peru, Machu Picchu, and stuff like that as a tourist. But I'd like to go without a schedule, just to spend the rest of my life either whether it's Europe, just backpacking it and learning, before the lights go out,
Well, I'm still pushing for you to do one more special, bro, in English. And man, I just
Nobody wants it,
please stop,
but in
bro,
Spanish
stop,
we'll find
man.
it.
I think in Spanish you would kill. Yes,
Maybe
but I know that I just would like.
There's
for
a
you
lot
to
of
do-
young lions like yourself,
No, you're-
I think you and Jerry Garcia and a couple of others coming up, we should always understand that there's always room for all of us. And I think there's a lot of young lions out there that will take this art to another level,
Yeah.
I've seen you work sober, and I've seen you work drunk, and sometimes I like the drunk guy because you have no holds bar,
Yeah.
and you stumble into some things that are really, really deep and funny,
Yeah.
I want to commend you, and I'm not blowing smoke on you because I've observed you, I've observed your growth. You went from being very sarcastic and intrusive. You didn't wait for the audience to love you back to very
I was
intelligent
angry.
stuff.
I was a
man.
young comic. I was angry.
That's what I wanted to
And
tell
I
you.
let go a lot. I let go a lot of the anger, man.
I always thought, man, you should have been one of us in the Latin Kings that we did.
Why
I tried to get to your
I know,
you had
bro.
a manager
Why you gotta
at the
bring
time.
that up, man?
And
There's mistakes, bro. As a young comic, I made a mistake. Not being
You
one
were
of
my first choice, by the way.
You see,
You were my first choice, and we tried to reach you to join this because nobody knew George really at the time.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I'm not downing you, George. I have respect for your work, regardless of whatever personal situation is. I think it's
and he's
resolved in my
talented,
mind.
bro. Like you said,
He is. He's very
regardless of
talented.
how he is,
I've always
kind
given-
of a amargado dude, and
I've always give it up. The guy's funny,
yeah.
and he was the best on the Latin Kings. He truly was.
yeah.
And if I had any kind of jealousies, I could have tried to slow them. To the contrary, I gave him the freedom to edit his own stuff. And look, every review said he was the best.
Yeah.
I took second place. I'm happy with that. I think my stuff was respectful, but he was the best. But having said that, I think people should know you were my first choice.
Okay,
we try to
brother.
reach you.
In my career, there's like two or three things that I regret. And one of them was turning down the Latin Kings of Comedy with you. Because I don't know if you know this, but you called me at my house. And Fabian, you were like 2 years old, bro.
I tried, man.
And Cheech called me. And it was like, come on. And then
And George could have still been on. We would have shined, man.
Yeah,
we had to fill in with.
No, I'm gonna start crying, bro.
We had to fill in with Uno. But you know what? You have many years in life ahead of you.
Thank you, brother.
You can do all that. I believe that one day you'll do a Latin Kings with your own ensemble.
Right.
I
No, well, you're very giving, brother. You always had love. You know, and
You see the light at the end of the road. I'm not a morbid guy. I don't wish to die tomorrow. But the truth is, my heart, after this quadruple bypass, sometimes I get up in the middle of the night. I have arrhythmia. I get up and I say, "Oh God, is this it? Is this it?" And then I wake up in the morning. What is it? So I'm in a hurry to do something.
I gotta do something. I got an extra day.
Yeah, I got an extra day, and I enjoy it more, And I haven't changed. The doctor says, don't smoke, don't do that. But I'm gonna live my life, enjoying it as I do on my terms. And I become more religious. Not that I wasn't never, I believe in God and in whatever form He reveals Himself to me. Because in doing this movie, He has been miraculous. Things have done to make this movie, and I'll just plug it here. It's called
before we
Redemption.
leave, yeah, bro. Tell them. Want to give people, because I think everybody who's in the movie, and thank you for giving me a
captured
part,
lightning
brother.
in a
Thank
bottle.
you, man. Thank you.
I'm very proud of
I'm
you.
excited about that.
I showed you the trailer. The people that have used, I knew that if I casted it right, it would come out, and it's very funny. I believe this is the movie that
You got Emilio Rivera.
Yeah.
You got Danny Trejo.
That's right.
You got Felipe Esparza in
Felipe
it.
Esparza, yourself, Jerry Garcia, everybody that I could. I want to try to put in this, but it wasn't like Cameo City. It was like they had something to do. Trejo's magnificent in this.
Right.
He plays a pussy whipped husband who everybody's afraid, but he's afraid of his old lady.
Well, that's a lot of guys I know from the hood.
We all have somebody to be afraid of, and it's called the Redemption Racket. Originally, it was going to be this, it's going to be that, but the Redemption Racket because the movie named itself.
Okay.
And it has we've tested. It's been taking me a year, because slowly but surely for economic reasons. But right now, we just got the trailer, and right now, I know God will open the doors, a raza will hear about it, and you'll vote with your feet. It's not because I need the money, I do, but you will vote with your feet, because I think I think if there's something to be remembered by, I'm good with this
And
one.
I think the social media world, because like we're talking, a lot of these cats that are in the movie have big followings.
I'm gonna ask all of you that
and you know, absolutely, brother. I think it's gonna be a big hit, man.
I think so. We're gonna find the theaters. The big studios don't run the show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You run the show. Your audience runs the show. Everyone whose last name begins with a Z runs the show. And this movie is not just for Latinos. I mean, there's a little something. I mean, Ari Spears plays Willie Dollars, an evangelist, and he's hilarious, man. He goes, "Oh, there's a lot of dangerous, unholy motherfuckers out there," you know. And he plays this reverend.
And the guy who put Sugar with Tom Cruise. The actor, why is this? I'm the Güero. The one playing Güero.
Jay Moore, man.
Jay Moore.
He owns the Lakers now. He's married to
Jenny Buss.
Jenny Buss, but he's fantastic in this. Nice. I was trying to get Schaefer. I was trying to get what's his name. He's married to a Mexican girl. The actor. Anyways, he's good friends with. Anyways, I tried Pauly Shore, tried a lot of people, and they said, no, whatever. And then Mel says, "Hey, how about Jay Moore?" I had done a movie with him called Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah, I'd done a movie with him, and I always respect him as a good comic.
Yeah.
But he just come out of rehab. I hope you don't think I'm outing him. But he was gordo.
Yeah.
And his Spanish is impeccable. Who knew, right? And he plays Güero.
Yeah, he does have good Spanish.
And him and I are buddies, and we're in and out of jail and all of that, and we're looking for a new scam, and we hit on religion.
Right.
And we go to a reverend school with Ari Spears, and it just... all the pieces falling together here. I would show it, not this, it was like doing a jigsaw puzzle, but that puzzle is finished. We're going to colorize it, and we're going to put it in a theater, and we're going to make it accessible in at least the 10 big Latino cities.
Wow.
They'll vote their feet if it catches on there.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, you'll see this. If I have to put it on YouTube and let you see it for free, it will be seen because that's the reason why we all made it. Emilio's great in it.
Yeah.
Felipe Esparza plays my parole officer. He's just, he dresses, he comes to my house, he goes, and we ad-libbed that part.
Yeah,
He was fantastic in that. You're in it. You meet me at the halfway house and go, "Hey, you're robbing old ladies." You were great. And I just knew if you put the right talent in there with the right words, you know. I didn't write your script. I just told you what the thing was and you wrote it. And so did they. And so this picture, I will put it on the titles. It was written by everybody you see there.
Wow.
And I just orchestrated it. And I'm very proud of it. Redemption Racket. Don't miss it.
Yeah, it'll be out, guys. It's coming soon. Paul, man, you know, we've been friends for a long time. And it's such an honor to have you on my podcast, Romeo, you know. So, nothing but love, brother. I'm so glad, I'm glad you're here.
You have a lot of success. I'll be dropping in. And I'm sure the people, the way you interview, you'll get a lot of them out of them. People now know I'm a heroin addict, or was. But at my age, there's very little to be ashamed of. You know, all these things make who you are.
No, well, brother, we've always been friends, and to me, that goes way deeper than the whole showbiz stuff, you know. So thank you for the friendship, and
always.
Bro, that movie is gonna be a big success. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, we need another special from me, bro, in English. Love you, brother.
I love you back, man.
Love you, brother.
Siempre.
All right, love you, bro. All right, guys, mad love. Thank you for hanging on. Willie Barcena's dropping, and we'll see you on the next round.